Have you ever noticed how much of life feels like a relentless chase? A race that never quite ends. Chasing success, chasing approval, chasing love, chasing the next moment, the next validation, the next sign that everything is okay. You're not alone in this. We all do it. And in many ways, it makes sense. After all, what else can you do but chase what seems essential? Survival, happiness, connection, meaning. But what if the chase itself is the problem? What if the very act of chasing pushes what you desire just a little further away? Have you ever felt exhausted by the effort, only to find your goals slipping through your fingers like water? Why does the more you reach out, the less you seem to hold? This is the paradox that Niccolò Machiavelli, known to many as a strategist of power and politics, hinted at long ago, beyond the battlefield or the throne room. He said, "Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times." But what does that mean for you in the quiet moments when you feel compelled to chase? It means that sometimes power is not in force or pursuit. Sometimes it is in the release, in the waiting, in the space you create by stepping back. Imagine for a moment a river. You try to grasp the water, to hold it in your hands, but it slips away. The harder you squeeze, the faster it escapes. But if you open your hands, if you allow it to flow freely, suddenly the water remains in your presence. It flows around you, nourishes you, refreshes you. The human mind is much like that river. Our desire to control life, to chase down what we want with urgency, creates tension. It narrows our focus to the chase itself, and in that tension, we lose the natural rhythm of life, the ebb and flow that might bring what we want without force. This is not a call to passivity. It is not an invitation to surrender your goals or hopes. It is an invitation to recognize the limits of control, to understand that the harder you chase, the more elusive what you want can become. You might ask, if not by chasing, then how? This question sits at the heart of emotional self-mastery, at the root of understanding your own patterns and responses. Because chasing is often rooted in a need to control outcomes, control others, control your own fears. But control is an illusion. The more you clutch at it, the more it slips away. What if the moment you stop chasing, everything begins to come to you? What if the power you seek is already within, waiting quietly for you to step out of the endless race and into a different kind of strength? This script will invite you to explore this paradox, to look beneath the surface of your desires and fears, to feel the emotional currents that push you forward and sometimes pull you under, and to discover the freedom that comes when you allow life to meet you rather than trying to capture it. The moment you stop chasing, everything starts coming to you. Why do we chase? What drives the restless urge to grasp, to pursue, to never pause? At the root of chasing lies a tangled web of desire and fear. Desire, yes, the hunger for something better, more, whole. But also fear, the fear of losing, the fear of emptiness, the fear of not being enough. Chasing is often a response to this fear. It is the mind's attempt to regain control in a world that feels uncertain, unstable, and unpredictable. When life shakes beneath our feet, the chase seems like a refuge. If we can catch what we want, approval, success, love, maybe, just maybe, the anxiety will subside. Maybe we will finally feel safe. But this safety is always provisional. It is a fragile illusion that depends on constant movement. We run faster, we reach farther, we stretch ourselves thin, and still the feeling of lack persists. Why? Because chasing is a symptom of disconnection from ourselves, from reality, from what truly sustains us. In chasing, we forget that control is a shadow we cannot grasp. The more we try to manipulate outcomes, the more life resists. The more we push people to respond, the more they withdraw. The more we chase love, the more it slips away. This is the paradox of human behavior. We are social creatures, wired to connect. Yet connection cannot be forced. It arises naturally in moments of presence, respect, and freedom. Have you noticed how relationships crumble under the weight of desperation? How boundaries dissolve when we refuse to let go? When the chase becomes a demand, a pressure, a silent contract that says, "Stay close, or I will lose you." But what do we lose instead? Our dignity, our peace, our true power. The fear of abandonment or failure drives us into cycles of chasing. But what if the very act of chasing fuels the fear it tries to escape? What if chasing creates a feedback loop of anxiety and rejection? This is why emotional self-mastery matters. Because to master your emotions is to see the patterns beneath the surface, to recognize when fear masquerades as desire, to understand when chasing is really avoidance. Avoidance of silence, stillness, and the unknown. Control dynamics play a subtle role here. When we chase, we try to pull the world toward us. We seek to bend reality to our will. But reality resists being bent. It requires surrender and adaptability. Consider Machiavelli's wisdom again. Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. To stop chasing does not mean giving up. It means changing your conduct, shifting from force to flow, from grasping to receiving. Emotionally, this requires courage. It requires facing the discomfort of uncertainty, allowing yourself to be vulnerable without the safety net of control, learning to trust yourself, your value, your boundaries, your presence, regardless of outcomes. Have you ever felt how exhausting it is to chase? How the body tightens, the breath shortens, the mind races? This tension is the body's way of signaling imbalance, a call to return to center. When you understand the psychology of chasing, you begin to see it not as a failure or weakness, but as a human pattern, a pattern that can be unlearned, a habit of the mind that can be softened through awareness and practice. The power lies not in clinging, but in letting go, in stepping back from the endless pursuit, in holding your own space with calm and clarity. Because when you stop chasing, your energy changes, your presence deepens. You begin to attract what matches your true frequency, not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. So ask yourself, what fears am I trying to control through chasing? What parts of myself am I running from? What would happen if I trusted the flow, trusted myself enough to stop? This is the heart of emotional self-mastery, to observe without judgment, to release without regret, to welcome whatever comes with open hands. The moment you stop chasing, everything starts coming to you. What does it truly mean to stop chasing? Is it simply to give up? To surrender in defeat? Number it is something far deeper, far more courageous. To stop chasing is to release the grip, to loosen the hands that clutch so tightly to outcomes, to expectations, to the illusion that you must control the world to protect yourself. It is the quiet power of detachment, not cold indifference, not numbness, but a conscious choice, a sovereign act, to let go of neediness. Why does this matter? Because neediness demands, it insists, it consumes. But detachment creates space, space to breathe, to observe, to be. Detachment is the fertile ground where true presence grows. When you stop chasing, you stop pushing energy outward in frantic waves. Instead, you gather it inward, cultivate it, let it ripple calmly. Imagine a tree. When it chases the sun, it bends, strains, breaks. But when it stands rooted, patient, it draws life from the soil, the air, the invisible currents around it. It grows strong not by force, but by balance. In the realm of human connection and desire, detachment offers the same strength. It tells the world, I am whole without you. I am enough in myself. My value is not up for negotiation. This is emotional self-mastery. To meet your own fears and desires with steady eyes. To recognize when your heart is pulling you into old patterns of chasing. To choose again and again to rest in your own center. Machiavelli understood this in his own way. He warned of rash action and impulsive pursuit. He knew that patience and timing often hold the key to power. Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. And sometimes changing your conduct means waiting, releasing, allowing. Releasing control does not mean passivity. It is not resignation. It is active surrender. A knowing that sometimes the greatest action is restraint. The greatest power lies in calmness. Have you noticed how presence shifts everything? When you are calm, when you carry your own worth quietly but firmly, the world listens differently. The desperate plea becomes a confident invitation. The chase dissolves into natural attraction. And what about boundaries? Detachment demands them. It protects your energy, your spirit. It says no without guilt. It holds space for yourself and for others without collapse or chaos. Emotional self-mastery is not about controlling others. It is about mastering your own responses, your own needs, your own worth. Ask yourself, when do I push too hard? When do I collapse too much? Where is the balance between attachment and detachment in my life? There is freedom in this balance. Freedom to love without desperation. Freedom to desire without fear. Freedom to live in a way that is whole, not fractured by endless pursuit. You may resist the idea of letting go. The mind may scream, if I don't chase, I will lose everything. But consider, what if the opposite is true? What if the moment you stop chasing, you start receiving? The energy shifts, the rhythm changes, the river flows again. This is not a loss. It is a profound gain, a transformation of power from outward grasp to inward strength. So I invite you now to breathe, to release, to sit quietly with the tension between desire and surrender. Feel the difference between chasing and receiving, between grasping and allowing. The moment you stop chasing, everything starts coming to you. Have you ever noticed the strange, almost magical moment when you finally stop pushing? When the desperate grasping slackens and a quiet space opens inside, something shifts. The world feels different, not harder, easier, not empty, but full. This is the paradox at the heart of the human experience. The very act of surrendering control, of ceasing the chase, invites life itself to meet you halfway. Think of a river again. When you build a dam to control it, the water backs up, pressure rises, the flow stalls. But when the dam is removed, when you open your hands, water runs freely. It nourishes, it carries life downstream. The same is true for your energy, your desires, your relationships. When you push with force, you create resistance, you close doors, you build walls, often unconsciously. But when you release, you dissolve the tension. You create flow. You invite what is meant for you to arrive naturally. This flow is not random. It responds to your inner state, your energy, your presence. What you radiate is what you attract. When you chase from a place of lack, of neediness, anxiety, fear, you send a signal of scarcity. This scarcity breeds distance, rejection, and struggle. But when you stop chasing and stand in your own worth, something remarkable happens. You send a signal of abundance, of confidence, of peace, and the world responds. Opportunities emerge, connections deepen, doors open that you didn't even see before. This is the invisible dance of attraction and flow, a dance that cannot be forced, only invited. Machiavelli knew this too. His wisdom reminds us that power is often a matter of timing. Patience and strategic withdrawal are not weaknesses, but tools of mastery. Waiting, watching, flowing with the current. These are acts of strength. You might fear that letting go means missing out, that by stopping, you lose control. But what if it means gaining everything? Consider the paradox. The moment you stop chasing, everything starts coming to you. What is it that arrives? Not necessarily what you thought you wanted, but what you truly need. What aligns with your highest self? What honors your boundaries and nourishes your soul? This flow honors your inner truth. It respects your pace. It offers gifts in timing, shape, and form that chasing could never command. Reflect on your own life. When have you tried to force something? What was the result? And when have you let go? What opened up then? Life's rhythm is not linear or mechanical. It is a complex living pulse. Sometimes you must move. Sometimes you must wait. Sometimes you must release. This is emotional self-mastery, the wisdom to know when to act and when to surrender, when to reach out and when to step back, when to speak and when to listen. It requires deep trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in the flow of life. Trust in the invisible forces that conspire in your favor when you align with your truth. So here is your invitation. Stop chasing, not to give up, but to invite. Stop grasping, not to lose, but to receive. Stop forcing, not to fail, but to flow. The moment you stop chasing, everything starts coming to you. Now I want to invite you to turn your gaze inward, to pause, to listen deeply. What are you chasing in your life? Is it approval, success, love, safety? Or perhaps it's something less visible, validation, acceptance, the quiet reassurance that you are enough. Take a moment. Close your eyes if you wish. Feel beneath the surface of your thoughts and emotions. What urges rise when you think about what you want? Is there a restlessness, a tightening in your chest, a racing mind that says, I have to keep moving, keep reaching, or I will be left behind? Notice how these feelings arise. Are they truly your own? Or are they echoes of old patterns, fears, or expectations placed upon you by others, by society, by a voice inside you that doubts your worth? This is the start of emotional self-awareness, the gentle recognition of what stirs you, without judgment or resistance. Ask yourself, when do I chase? Is it from a place of genuine desire or from fear? When do I hold boundaries firmly? And when do I let them dissolve under pressure? What do I lose when I let chasing override my sense of self? Boundaries, these invisible lines around your heart and mind, are sacred. They protect your energy. They preserve your peace. But they can be fragile, worn thin by constant pursuit or by the need to please others. Have you ever said yes when you really wanted to say no? Or pushed yourself to keep going when every fiber of your being whispered for rest? These moments chip away at your boundaries and blur the lines of self-worth. To stop chasing is also to honor your boundaries, to respect your limits, to say, this is where I stand, this is who I am. I do not need to prove it by running after something outside myself. This kind of self-respect is revolutionary. It defies the frantic noise of the world that tells you to want more, do more, be more. It calls you back to the quiet power of simply being enough. Look at your relationships. Where do you chase connection, approval, or love? Where do you allow desperation to cloud your presence? And where do you stand firm, rooted in your own value, inviting others to meet you there? These reflections are not meant to shame or blame. They are an invitation to understand your emotional patterns deeply, to see where the chase arises and to ask, what would it be like to stop? What might I receive if I simply let go? This is the threshold of transformation, the space where fear meets courage, where scarcity yields to abundance, where chasing dissolves into receiving. You don't have to do this alone. Emotional self-mastery is a practice, a daily return to awareness and kindness toward yourself. It is learning to hold your own hand through the discomfort of uncertainty, the silence of waiting, the vulnerability of surrender. And here is the gift. The moment you stop chasing, you begin to meet yourself fully. You reclaim your power. You open to a life that flows toward you, rather than one you must constantly pursue. Take this time now, right here, right now, to feel this truth, to breathe it in, to rest in the possibility of a different way. The moment you stop chasing, everything starts coming to you. In the stillness after the chase, there is a profound strength, a strength not loud or brash, but quiet, steady, unwavering. To let go is to claim this strength. It is to stand firm without grasping, to hold your ground without forcing, to be whole simply as you are. You have carried the weight of chasing for so long, the endless pursuit of what you thought would fill the gaps inside. But now here is a deeper truth. Those gaps are not empty because of what you lack. They are empty because you have yet to fill them with your own presence. You are enough, not because you have achieved or acquired, but because you exist. Because your breath moves, your heart beats, your mind dreams. When you stop chasing, you stop running from yourself. You stop trying to prove your worth to the world. You stop sacrificing your peace for a promise that can never be kept. In this surrender, there is liberation. In this letting go, there is power. Remember the words of Machiavelli. Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. Changing your conduct, changing your relationship with desire and control, is the essence of mastery. It is the wisdom to know when to hold on and when to release, when to act and when to be still. You are not weak for letting go. You are not defeated by surrender. You are alive, fully, deeply, authentically alive. And in this life, there is a rhythm. Push and pull, give and receive, chase and let go. The moment you stop chasing, everything starts coming to you. So now, as you listen to these words, I invite you to carry this truth with you, to practice the art of release, to cultivate patience with yourself, to trust in the flow of life. Because you are worthy of the gifts that come when you stop running. You are worthy of peace. You are worthy of love that does not demand your chase. You are worthy of a life that unfolds in its own perfect timing. Breathe this in. Let it settle deep within. And know, the quiet strength of letting go is yours. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. What part of this reflection resonated with you the most? Have you ever experienced the shift that happens when you stop chasing? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this video created value for you, helped you pause and reflect, please consider subscribing to the channel. Together, we'll explore more truths that deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world.